Welcome to Slow News Day. My name is Steve Poikonen.
And I'm Sarah Hall.
We're here to be a platform for artists, activists, organizers, and all-around agitators who are currently fighting back against the dystopian hellscape that is late-stage capitalism here in the heart of the empire.
Thanks, Steve, for the opportunity to be here today. I know you've done a lot of groundwork, so when you tapped me on the shoulder, I played a quick game of catch-up. So here I am. Hi. I could be getting my emails. I could be getting my emails done right now at a thinly veiled human trafficking station. Haven't done that in years, by the way. Instead, I'll be doing this today. Timing is everything. We have an awakening at hand. We all feel it. And it is our shared truth that this is imperative to bring people together on things that we can all agree on. Ideas that are and go outside the narrative paradigm of multinational media lockdown, blackout, lockstep, with the goal of unifying us, not just at home, but around the world. Back to we all want the same thing. Insert that here. You know, what do we want? Everybody, I just feel like human dignity. We deserve to feel safe and protected and loved. And, you know, education is a part of that. A medical setup that makes sense for all of us in a way that is doable for everyday common man. I'm getting off topic here, but that's okay. I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm just feeling that energy. A lot of people pay a lot of money to feel like this.
It's true.
I'm seeing many people here who are fighting the human dignity fight. So the mission is a strike while the iron is hot situation, not a 25-year uphill battle, grassroots schematic style. The groundwork has been somewhat laid out and achieved, believe it or not, on a lot of levels. And this is what it's coming to. I'm here because I feel a social responsibility to help provide a platform for the real voice of the people. The calling is strong. The opportunity presented itself. And I want to because I can. As someone who has been aware of the linear path that capitalism takes and the collective soul and self-annihilation of said path takes in its rapacious race to the bottom for endgame collateralization of said souls and selves. I have watched feeling helpless for a minute now as I feverishly recycle my garbage in the small corner I'm still allowed to breathe in based on what purchasing capacity remains here. Knowing, like we all do, 100%, the real estate under our feet already once acquired by one of the most grisly genocides in short-run history. That being said, I'm very excited about guests and ideas that will be put forth in the show, the conversations to be had, the learning I get to do balanced out with a healthy dose of, say, cats and wicked humor, humility, and not having to bear the weight of knowing every single thing. I'm here to learn and share the doers' conversation. There are people that have been fighting the fight of human right and dignity for over 100 years now and into infinity. I truly believe the hours now to be catalytic for change, putting to use what we have learned from our history from the movements failed before. Right concepts coupled with faulty execution, inability to unify. Wholly unify. Expose yourself to different cultures, people. Please, if you haven't already. I need to do more. I'm going to make that a mission till the day I die. And I guess it's more than coupled because there was CIA interference in there as well that took out a lot of good people that we'll probably get to down here a little bit. So just, know that we're not alone. We are the sons and daughters. We are the sisters and mothers. We are a global family, and we are up to here with all of it, especially divide and conquer. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Rad. I think it's important to define where we're coming from in terms of the American political spectrum. For so long and for very specific reasons, there's been a hijacking of what it means to be left and right in this country, and right now there are tens of millions of people who believe that the Democrats are a left-wing party. They believe that
I was one of them.
They believe that 100 millionaire we're capitalists, and that's that Nancy fucking Pelosi is a wild-eyed communist.
How much is she worth?
Like 110 million, maybe more.
Yeah.
Shut down a kid at a forum in 2017 by saying, well, we're capitalists, and that's just that. And it was a reasonable question about the trajectory of people who are coming in to vote now and who are 18 to 35 who are willing to vote for socialists or admit that they are socialists, and even that word in and of itself is used so fucking wrong always. The Democrats are a center-right party for affluent professionals in metropolitan areas who don't give a fuck about civilian casualties when their guy is in office, have a penchant for knitted hats, and think that tax cuts, that taxes fund spending. They couldn't be, that narrative, that idea that the Democrats are somehow a left-wing party has been pushed over and over and over by a lazy, complicit media, so that people will walk around with their lazy opinions and misunderstand things wrong and regurgitate them because that's how it is, and we all know it because Chuck Todd said so.
Yeah, it's just like, I feel like they're kind of like the party that hasn't had the prom dress totally ripped off. They're just like better liars.
They're more dangerous liars. When a Republican looks at you and says, I'm a man of the people, you know which people he's talking about. You know that they all look like him, they all go to the same country club as him, they all have the same fucking hard on for one particular Sig Sauer because they read an article in the, amateur fucking Commando.
Oh gosh.
You know who those people are. When a Democrat looks at you and says, I'm a person of the people, it's because they hit all the right identity politics buttons.
And they buy their own rhetoric.
Yeah. All the Republicans buy their own rhetoric too, to an extent, But I don't know. I don't even think the Democrats are buying their own rhetoric anymore. I think they're just saying it because it's the fucking punch list of shit they're supposed to say. Their donors email them every single day.
Yeah.
Going, okay, you're allowed to talk about Medicare for all. You're allowed to talk about it, but you're also going to endorse pay-go, which means for every dollar that you spend, it comes from somewhere. They're going to pull money from everywhere but the military budget, which effectively kills.
That. It's so weird.
Right?
Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And you can't cut me a check over here for some printer ink and education?
Right.
Something's wrong. That just doesn't smell right.
It's a concerted effort.
Yeah, and the voter fraud thing is. I'm sorry if I derailed your thought,
No, it's cool.
but that's why I feel like we just don't get anywhere. Corrupt, just super holy corrupt by admission, signed affidavit corrupt out of Florida that we did this, a giant fraud. If you can't trust your democracy, shoots, man.
So it bears asking or talking about whether or not we actually have free and fair elections, and I'm of the opinion that the answer is no, because of Broward County, Florida, because Barbara fucking Sykes destroyed ballots and admitted it on camera.
She signed an affidavit as well.
In New York, in the 2016 primary, they came out that the New York Board of Elections admitted in open court that they had purged people off the voter rolls. This happened all over the country. Just based on the last election alone, there is more evidence that we don't have a free and fair election system than that we do. Bernie Sanders was clearly fucking cheated out of that primary. Whether or not you agree with him or his politics, he got done dirty. Donald Trump was elevated to a large extent because of the billions of dollars of free advertising given to him by the media, who would show his empty podium rather than 35,000 people at a rally for Sanders. But there was an email in the Podesta emails that came out during the course of election that was from the Clinton campaign stating, elevate Donald Trump as a Pied Piper candidate, treat him seriously, give him the airtime. I don't know how any of that stacks up to we have a free and fair election process.
I know I'm nauseated.
I think a lot of people got that way. I really do. And that's why we are seeing things like the AFL-CIO advocating for an actual labor party. Those guys, those labor organizers, meeting with the Movement for a People's Party folks who originally tried to draft Bernie Sanders to come over to start a third party. And I kind of feel like Bernie has wasted 2 solid years of political capital sheepdogging everyone back over onto Team Blue.
Yeah.
Because Trump does plutocracy wrong.
Super setback system setup.
I don't know, it's worth mentioning how we got this way. In 1987, they repealed the Fairness Doctrine, which was supposed to give equal airtime to opposing views. And that in and of itself wasn't necessarily a big deal. But in 1996, Bill Clinton passed the Telecom Act, which took over 50 media companies, consolidated them into 6. So there's a media monopoly, and there's nothing on the books that says every time Rush Limbaugh fucking farts into a box of Chinese food, you're supposed to just take that as that's how your Chinese food is supposed to be served, and there's no contradictory position going, maybe don't fart in the box.
Maybe.
I've actually eaten Chinese food before. That's not how it's supposed to taste. So that's gone, and media monopolies are forming, and a handful of billionaires own 80% of the newspapers, and then
That's less and less every day, too.
9/11 happens, and in the amount of time between September 11th and October 23rd, Congress, in the throes of national panic, somehow found the temerity, the determination, the will to come up with the Patriot Act, which nobody read, which sparked this culture of troop worship and war worship that we haven't pulled out of, to the point to where in the 2016 Democratic Convention they were chanting down "No more wars with USA." Like, the thing looked like a fucking right-wing parade. Weird. So we have the Patriot Act. Out of the Patriot Act comes the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, which gets passed, expanding state powers to spy on us, read our everything, be in our phones, be in our
Thanks, Snowden,
televisions.
for telling us how bad that was.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those conspiracies. Like, when that got opened up, it was like, oh, geez, this is way worse than we thought. And in that, he says they were watching drone strikes on civilians from their desktop. Not for, like, data mining or national defense, but that was playing, like, entertainment for them.
Right.
Yeah, it's just wicked. And
Like
it
Frogger,
stinks.
but with missiles and people.
Real people running in real time.
And Democrats now want to hang that guy. And they want Julian Assange so bad. Democrats, the people that were praising him.
I'm so glad his girlfriend joined him in Russia. I hope they made it to where they were going.
Right? Me too, man.
Yeah, that was a good story in the end. That was a love story. Thank you, Snowden.
So we're at this place post-Snowden now, where they reauthorized the NDAA. And it legalizes propaganda. Legalizes propaganda. You now see retired CIA operatives in management and NSA people, and Michael Hayden is a regular guest on Bill Maher's show, and like war criminals and torturers are given expert status and put on
Covert
cable news
covert operations must be exhausting in regards to propaganda and keeping it like, well, the people are kind of onto it. Maybe we should just go ahead and legalize that now.
Right. Oh, it's getting a little hot. Better make it just across the board okay. So now we can lie to people on TV with impunity when someone calls it out. They're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. When you challenge the official narrative, they shadow ban your social media page, they slow down or throttle your traffic, they unsubscribe people from your YouTube channel, they demonetize your YouTube channel, they eliminate the ways that you make money through the creation of your content, or limit the number of people that can see it. This has been discussed more and more frequently as the ban hammer came down on fucking Alex Jones. And love or hate Alex Jones, he did not deserve to be deplatformed. We do not want to be in a situation where a handful of tech monopolies get to determine what is or isn't speech based on which particular political party's wheels they're greasing at the time. It's fucking bullshit. But here we are in 2018 where a fucking reality TV show game host is fucking president.
Oh god, it's not funny, dude.
And fucking...
It's like laughing at crib death. It's like, you know, I mean, come on. But sometimes for the pendulum to swing, it does have to get that bad. And there's a conversation indefinitely that's happening everywhere right now about how bad it is.
Yeah, but the way that the conversation is presented is that everything was okay until the fucking orange fucking flesh bag got into the Oval Office. And that is not true. You don't get a 3D hate crime who is that fucking incurious and that fucking intentionally isolated within his own fucking little fucking bubble without fucking up severely all the way up until that point.
Yeah.
This is not a unique moment in history.
To all those things you said that took us through the dominoes falling. Will you just... Can we punch that real punch? Just
there's a direct line between
the
repeal of the Fairness Doctrine, the passing of the Telecom Act, the Patriot Act, and the NDAA that gets us to a point to where social media companies are determining speech. They're the people
net neutrality.
Yeah, they're the people that own the politicians. The politicians are a fucking public relations firm for the corporations and nothing more. Functionaries. Just like the media is there to be a stenographer to power rather than a responsible, professional voice, investigative voice standing up to power.
I remember when the truth mattered and going to war was a kind of a big deal.
I don't know if, I mean, maybe. Yeah, that's where they fucked up though. They put war on TV. And it broke Walter Cronkite. Fucking when they lost old Walt, man, they lost support for that war, and never again did we see the cost of going to war on TV.
To revisit that.
Do you remember the first Gulf War?
Oh yeah,
with the
very
fucking
clearly.
The highlights of all you saw were the missiles dropping and then blowing up, but nothing afterwards. Yeah. Were they gonna show you? They'll show you. They'll show you what it looks like when terrorists attack us, but they will never show you what it looks like when we attack.
Oh yeah, good point.
And there's a giant conspiracy surrounding Bin Laden's death, but you know they did not show a picture of Bin Laden. We got that one picture of Saddam being pulled out of the bunker, where he looked like fucking drunk Zach Galifianakis, as opposed to Saddam Hussein. But yeah, the only cost that we can always pay is the cost of going to war, and the only fucking thing they won't show us is the cost of us going to war. And when people try to do it, they are thrown off of networks. NBC or MSNBC fired a bunch of people, fired Phil Donahue, bought Jesse Ventura out of his contract. Fucking when Bill Maher was playing libertarian on TV more than he was playing out-of-touch Democrat on TV, he got kicked off of ABC for speaking out against the war. You can't...
And when they're not doing that, let's Let's let our moms know.
Yeah, you go for it, man. We'll get this stuff.
And when they're not doing that, geez, it just seems to be like a rash of suicides from 2 shots to the back of the head.
Right. Well, sometimes 6, just to make sure you suicided yourself. Get enough. I would like to say that I love life. I love my life.
And my family. And my mom.
Yes, I love my
Hi,
family.
Mom.
I love my mom. I'm
My
not
husband,
going to commit suicide.
my community.
So if I ever get
The world.
accused of committing suicide, it did not happen.
The ecosystem. All of the 4-legged and winged things in between. We love it. We're not trying to self-destruct out here.
Not at all. Not at all. We love life. Anywho, getting that out of the way. You said environment. You said 4-legged creatures. You said
Winged things. We're here for all these things. We're not trying to take ourselves out like that. Some of these people, their characters get assassinated. You'll see them being loaded into an ambulance. You'll see, fucking boy's name, why can't I remember? You know, the arrest, the arrest, the TMG happens to be at the jail to get the snapshot, you know. Before or after you're loaded into the ambulance and your credibility is destroyed. There's character assassination, career assassination, and then,
entire branches of the CIA dedicated to coming up with scenarios in order to assassinate your credibility, your character, and or you.
Ask Hillary's interpreter of 30 years. Oh, wait.
You can't. There's this thing that we're going to say a lot, and that's late stage capitalism. And
Hologram era.
It's important to understand that there is no sustainability built into capitalism.
It's linear.
There's no...
Leads to a drain in the floor. And a lot of bodies.
Yeah. Piles and piles
There's
of
no
bodies.
pot of gold at the end of it for a common man. There's like a pot of gold for like 8 people, but we all know that, so.
And at this point, people are going, but my Venezuela! You really need to just go watch Abby Martin's reporting on Venezuela.
Is that my homework? I'm going to write it down.
I can scream all I want to that every country that has elected a socialist as a president has been immediately undermined, if not executed, overthrown by our government, by our intelligence operations. And when people go, they're starving in Venezuela, it's a handful of right-wing, wealthy people who are working in concert with our government to keep food out of the mouths of the people who need it the most. It's like sanctions, but covert. It's...
I've always been of the mind, if you see people being treated a certain way by someone, or a people being a person or a people being treated a certain way, my mom had always taught me that you would best factor in it could only be a matter of time until you're on the other end of that stick.
But that's not how it works when you have your 2 major political parties representing management. When you have that situation, the situation that we're in with both political parties speaking on behalf of a very small group of owners, you have management or the owner class making 100% of the decisions 100% of the time.
That doesn't sound good for me.
It's how we roll in this country.
I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick.
And at some point, workers are going to have to realize that there are more of us than there are them, and that we are not the division that they show on fucking television or put in the fucking newspaper. That we are not, we're certainly not as different as they would like us to believe.
I would like to just so much expose myself to as many different kinds of things and people I can
Sarah's
before
going
my
to
trip.
expose herself.
Poor Pete. Just oh! I'm sorry. It's not your fault, dude. All right. Yeah, that's touching on a lot of it, dude. Management is making 100% of the decisions. That's not a democracy.
No, but it directly relates to why we don't have free and fair elections, why we have a rigged system, why we have a rigged criminal justice system, why we have a tiered fucking allotment for business ownership, or whose face gets on what network, or how information is released in general. The people say that there's a left-wing bias or a right-wing bias in mainstream media, and as much as I don't like the guy, Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks is correct when he says there's not a left or right bias necessarily, there's a corporate bias. Fucking
Bringing it home.
Lockheed Martin and Boeing and GE advertise on all of these networks, and yet very few people in their audience is ever gonna order a Hellfire or fucking a large commercial airplane or a missile guidance system. But their bias is going to be reflected in all of those shows because they're signing the checks.
Yeah, meanwhile, if you're Kanye West, you can just run amok out here in your weaponized blackness and fucking R. Kelly sheets, dude. It's ridiculous. I don't want to fucking hear that shit, man. I want to see some real players up here.
Dude,
Bring Boots back out.
Right?
Yeah.
They will never let
No.
Boots Riley host Saturday Night Live. Boots, if you do get to host Saturday Night Live, I will gladly be wrong on that, but I saw how they did you on a Fox affiliate, so I'm not gonna hold my breath. If you don't know who Boots Riley is, you should go and immediately listen to The Coup. You should go see the movie Sorry to Bother You. If you don't know what conscious hip-hop is, please go learn some conscious hip-hop. Please listen to Black Thought.
Yeah, maybe we can get into some of the people. Yeah, furthermore on those. Man, I was inspired by the revolutionary rap movement as a youngster. I got drawn in by Fuck the Police with NWA, and then when I got close, they're like, check out this other heady shit.
Right? How pissed were you when you found out that NWA were studio gangsters?
Ooh, man, that was just sad to watch.
As a white woman, how sad was that? I mean, it kind of feels like
still sad to watch, though.
It kind of feels like, you know, you're finding out that Santa's not real when you find out that the artist that you looked up to when you were a kid are either studio created or had a team of songwriters doing their shit for them. I'm glad I got over that early.
Yeah, I wonder if like people like Tupac Shakur though, he definitely wrote his own stuff, and when he realized he had to buy his way onto the stage, as it were, as far as politics is concerned, he switched it up into the rap game, and that was for the sole purpose of making the money to do that thing that he wanted to do. As a result of that, whether he had other writers writing for him or not, I feel like he did do a lot of his own content, and by the time he was assassinated, and the time was when he had risen and there was 1,000,000 men behind him ready to do whatever the fuck he said, and all of a sudden, whoops, bow ties and bean pies rolls up, and fucking what? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Bow ties. Rad, dude. Rad.
So he was an early influencer for me, from following him from his young acting career, knowing that he was the son of the situation and that both of his parents were Black Panthers. I watched him more as a revolutionary in the beginning than an artist, and then watched him evolve into an artist and then a man of his fucking people, and then 2 shots to the back of the head. No, it came in sideways, but you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Fuck, man.
He was a good one, Boots, and there's a lot of heady people that they definitely just pulled the mic on halfway through that stream. What, Bill Maher, Boots Riley? Well, see you later, never again.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's continued to evolve as an artist and project when he was invited, so like you so eloquently say, invited to become successful elsewhere. He has really continued his mission, and the body of his work over life, I think, is very admirable and respectable and truthful and necessary and kind.
I owe a lot of how I got this weird to Clean Acid and Art Bell.
Let's do it.
I grew up in central Indiana in the 80s and 90s, and Coast to Coast AM was a really, really good friend to me. Art Bell treated all of his guests with like they were telling the truth, regardless of how fucking ridiculous their story was. He always treated them with respect. He didn't shout anybody down, and as concentrated as that show could get on aliens, it allowed me to openly question all of the people that were lying to me in my life, including my government. And I have a lot of love for that show. I know there's people that believe that Art Bell was controlled opposition, but people will believe that everybody is controlled opposition eventually. I am not controlled opposition, which now means, of course, I am. That's just how that shit works. I remember reading a book in like 92, 93 called Smoke and Mirrors, The War on Drugs and the Politics of Failure, by a guy named Dan Baum, who I'd love to have on the show if he's still around. I don't even know. But that went through a chronology of the drug war that I had never been taught. They don't teach you that shit in school. And he went from the early 20s up, all covered Nixon's administration and the official launch of the war on drugs, and the quote from Henry Anslinger about, fuck yes, it was about racism, and it was about like the class and all that kind of shit. And we targeted these 2 groups of people on purpose, and at the time the book came out, Iran-Contra was wrapping up.
Which reminds me of a meme that you posted recently where it's sacrifice everything, even if it means taking a knee. And it was Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding, which happened to be the very image that my teacher and mentor at the time used to teach us in the classroom. All right, kids, you want to know how your media works? Then we're going to do this today. Sarah, you want to pull the weeds out of your hair and learn something? Check it out. Look at this full color, you know, bright, glossy, my knee. And then he flips all the way to the back to an article about this big, you know, a little black and white picture of Bush and Noriega shaking hands, and the verdicts are out. Guilty all the way up to your president. Yeah, sports is something, I don't know, ice skating. So very distracting, I get it, but people like yelling about balls.
Selling out an entire nation, creating your own drug problem, focusing heavily on black and brown communities, and when you run out of those, then you go after whoever's poor.
Whoever is poor, that's what it's all about, man. And the divide thing, racism, it's all just, I'm of one of those minds that that's all just used to keep us divided and raging and railing against each other instead of pointing at where it needs to go. Like, it needs to go post haste.
And that's not to delineate from the actual legitimate racism that fucking people experience.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Every
Thank you,
single
Steve.
fucking second of every single
Thank
fucking
you.
day. That shit is real, and it's been weaponized as a tool of class division.
Thank you. That is a much more put together way of saying what I was trying to convey.
And
Did you just say amen?
I know, I said, man.
Oh, I was like, what is happening to me right now?
Church hand! Fuck, dude, we're at a point right now, we're a month away from midterm elections that we both agree are rigged.
Yep, 100%, and hopefully we're gonna have a real kind witness up here to help us understand that in a minute here.
Right.
Not today, but he's agreed to.
I don't know if or how we can put the brakes on late stage capitalism and the fallout from that particular religion, that supernatural belief system that is American capitalism.
We probably won't be able to do it, but it's never too late to try to make a positive change.
Well, I want to know how that can be done by fucking voting. Really, in a system that
So we gotta address that
by design is corrupt, in a system that was put together for the specific purpose of there being class division and winners and losers, rather than people who have food and shelter, electricity. Shit, like, you know.
Well, I guess I can use all these kids as bullet shields if it comes down to it.
Right?
Right? Never wanted to be in that position, man.
No, but if you want to talk about early influences a little bit, man, Jello by Afra fucking got me when I was a kid, not in that way. I did not get me too'd by Jello by Afra. I got fucking hooked on punk rock, and I got.
We're still a walk a ways from Luciferian pedophiles, so
it's true.
We'll get there eventually.
Every geopolitical conspiracy theory ends at Luciferian pedophiles rule the world.
Or just don't wait 2 years to rip the bandage off. I don't know.
But
Or just
the web of shit along the
I'm
way.
getting there. I've had a couple paths in there.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying that's where if you start with like, why did Elizabeth Warren yell at the bankers and then do very little to nothing about the deregulation of Wall Street again last year? You know, if you start from there, you end up at Luciferian pedophiles. You know? If you're like, how come
But if you're me, you can see how it's a short walk. Though unconfirmed.
A clear separation where the poor community lives on this side and the wealthy people live on this side, and it's this because this is their leach field. You know, why is that? You end up at Luciferian pedophiles rule the world. It's a thing
really
that people pump the brakes on a lot, and I'm not here to say the premise of the show is to land at that conclusion every time.
I'm not here to land at conclusions for anybody. I think, people should be doing their own homework and asking an occasional question or two. When you do things like pay to donate your blood to data mining companies like 23andMe.
And the Alphabet company owns or was part owner of 23andMe. That's the Google brothers. And
I was very curious about that.
Alphabet.
I had not done the homework yet. That makes sense. Is that the current owners and operators?
I honestly don't know.
Can we see a higher bidder on the horizon?
God, it's one more. It's one more thing for Bezos to buy.
He's gonna have schools, by the way. Did you hear out of the goodness of his heart recently about him donating $2.3 billion to homeless people? Sounds nice, right? Wrong! What he really meant by that is they're going to be setting up early education programs in poor communities. So you can get your prime vaccines and, early education on.
Right. Go from your prime projects to fucking the prime bus. It's a smart bus. It can track how productive you're going to be based on what prime foods have been packed in your prime backpack.
They break it down,
he
man.
wants
if
health
you think they have
got
not done the numbers.
Now. He's in the insurance game. He's got Whole Foods. He's got Amazon. He's got the Washington Post. He's got a $600 million deal with the CIA to store their data. He's on a Pentagon board. Like, there's only, I'm not going to say there's only so many more avenues he can go because the guy's clearly a fucking sociopath and he looks like goddamn Lex Luthor.
Straight up. Why is that? Why are they so cartoonishly evil, as you say? I love the first
because Chris Hedges says they're stealing out in the open now. Like there's no shame.
The prom dress is off. The lipstick smeared.
Yeah. Mascara running. Yeah. But track marks uncovered. They're out there, they're doing it right in broad daylight and with no shame, and that's part of the reason that the Democrats and some of the Republicans are so mad at Trump is because he's fucking doing plutocracy wrong. You're not supposed to just steal out
balls out a fistful of bloody
We're gonna steal their natural resources after we bomb their country. Fucking, why aren't we killing more of their family members? Like, you're not supposed to say that, dude.
This one's blood is gold.
Look, if you... Right?
Just...
Can you imagine that fucking conversation fucking one of like Mattis or somebody had with him? Like, look, dude, if you want the Nobel Peace Prize and you still want to bomb a bunch of countries, you can't say kill their family members.
This needs to be rebranded
On TV. Like, not even catching
Like
them on a hot
cars.
mic or nothing. Like, sitting there with, I can't remember who, like, fucking Wolf Blitzer or something. Yeah, we should go after their families more. And then tries to portray himself as an anti-war, anti-intervention candidate. The great thing about Donald Trump is that he has been on every side of every issue, sometimes in the middle of the same ramble. So everybody can agree with him on at least one thing.
Oh yeah,
because
we're all good people here, are we, motherfucker?
I don't know about that.
No, we're not all good people here. Clearly,
Dude that ran over the chick was definitely not a nice person. But perhaps his friends that were chanting "Jews will not replace us" were good people too. I don't know. It's fucking crazy to watch people defend politicians in general, but this particular president specifically, the way that they have been. And I know people went all in for Obama, but Donald Trump is an incurious fucking moron. He is not the great orange hope. He
is kind of a moron, but he
He's-
is like super evil too.
Yeah, but he
We have lovable morons, like the boss from The Office that you described. What's his name? We have lovable morons because that intent is not fucking completely rotten and wicked to the 10th power on the inside. When
Yeah.
you peel off the orange tan.
No, I understand that. I do.
I know you
there's,
do.
There's there's a lot of people that I consider to be fucking wide awake and seeing the world for what it is. That's their kryptonite, is their affinity for a guy who has escalated our wars, an affinity for the guy who has basically and has been quoted by Benjamin Netanyahu as saying that he was a puppet for Israel. And I do not think that Palestinians should be living in the world's largest open air prison. I don't. I think Palestinians have a right to exist as people. I think that they have a right to the land that they are on. I don't think that 35 members of Congress that have dual citizenship, all with Israel, should be elected officials. I don't think that Jared Kushner's family, fucking Trump's son-in-law's family, and Chuck Schumer and his family should both be in the business of brokering settlements.
Shekelizing them to death.
And now we hate the Jews. Which is the furthest thing from the truth, but you are
I'm not gonna go there. Oh, my friends are.
You are allowed to look at the law that was recently passed that gives priority to Israelis over any other nationality that happens to live on their land, as that's a fucking apartheid state. That's what apartheid is. It's the literal definition of what it is, and now this country is an apartheid state. You're allowed to be upset by that.
Thank you.
You're allowed to be upset when Palestinian women and children, reporters, are used as target practice. Just as you should be allowed.
Exactly, and that's the real deal. Because when you said a couple of months back priming me for this, that lazy opinions lead to complicit, or was it something much more egregious? I don't know. I got a flash of Aleppo before my eyes. Before Aleppo, mid Aleppo, after Aleppo. I don't want to be complicit in that.
And that's the problem, man, is that we have spent the last 18 years, 17 years, really, in a concerted effort to eliminate anti-war sentiment in this country.
It's bad.
God bless Code Pink for continually being anti-war throughout all of this, and Cornel West and fucking legitimate, consistent anti-war people. And I do consider,
I have a lot to learn about you still.
I do consider myself
Thank
one
you.
of those people who has consistently been anti-war, and that is why I have done all of the volunteer work with the veterans groups that I have, because I honestly think there's no more legitimate or respectable voice for peace than someone who went through the shit and came back with PTSD so that a handful of people could increase their fucking quarterlies.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking gross. And just, you told me about a state yesterday where they've
My home state of Indiana.
militarized the police force to fight against their, possibly a preemptive strike is what it was feeling like to me.
So I'm not gonna do that. I don't remember the exact quote. It was a story that was out and circulated thoroughly. I want to say Marion, Indiana, their sheriff, in defense of getting all of this surplus military equipment, MRAVs and fucking stockpiles.
I'm gonna need you to cut me this check.
His defense of that was not, we've got a gang problem or we're worried about the terrorists. His defense of it was, we have a lot of veterans and they have the skill set to come after us. So we need their gear in case they do. And that's a sheriff or police chief.
On a group of people that's committing suicide, the number's 22 a day. We've all heard it. This is our biggest concern right now for them, for the people that have served their countries, that we might have to arm ourselves against.
It's a
them.
legitimate concern from any military standpoint that, okay, we've stripped these guys of their identity, we've turned them into killing machines, they have completely dehumanized their enemy or dehumanized their enemy to an acceptable level, and now we've yanked them out of the scenario that we took them and prepared them for.
Kind of one self-destructing over here.
One of the most, one of the more formative points of their life, and now that person's out in the wilderness of civilization. There's a legit
trying to make sense of what just the fuck happened to them.
If you're that guy who made those kids into those people, and then now they are no longer under your thumb or following any orders, aren't you going to have an inherent fear that, oh shit, I built the monster, now it's coming to get me?
Oh god, especially if I don't want to pay them for the fucking rest of their retirement and
So no, I mean,
oof.
knowing that,
Gross.
and knowing that the police, at least in that county, had that on their mind when they were justifying taking all of this equipment. that says to me that they know exactly what they're doing. They know that the wars are bullshit. They know that the reason they're sending them over there is not the reason that they're drilling into them. They know that they've spent formative years of these kids' lives lying to them. And their resolution to that is arm the cops in case they get pipey.
Like, not just regular arming. We're talking about, like...
Not, hey, give these guys some fucking...
Tanks!
Not, hey, give the veterans some counseling and some fucking jobs and, you know, maybe healthcare where they don't have to wait
maybe a
months
fucking
and months and
massage.
months. Yeah, back rub would be cool.
You know.
Consensual handies.
It's all on the list.
Yeah.
Somebody's list. Not the ones that sent them out there, that's for sure, man. And these people deserve our fucking... The thing everybody else fucking out here deserves fucking respect for... I'm just gonna stop, dude.
Cool. I
cry when I get too close. I don't want to totally womanize it up in here.
Go full Megyn Kelly out the gate.
Write that name down. I should know this, but that's okay. We're in this together. Sooner we figure that out, post-haste status, the better off.
We're gonna spend a lot of time talking about the fact that this two-party system is broken, demonstrably broken.
Irrefutably broken.
When half the country makes 30 grand or less a year, and we have the wealth that we have consolidated the way that it is, it's going to hit a position that is recognizably untenable by everybody.
Radical transition.
Everybody. There's only so much distraction you can throw at people all the time before they get so sick of seeing what's on their screens that they turn it off and fucking maybe run into somebody and talk to them. Hey, shit's weird. Have you noticed shit's weird?
You're rolling.
So
Getting
you
weird.
noticed shit's weird? Have you?
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
we're getting towards unification here on all the fronts, just not just at home, but abroad. Bringing people together, finding our commonalities, less differences, awareness, asking questions. I'm still asking a lot of questions, and the homework schedule is getting kind of thick, but I'm okay with it, dude. If that means not having a lazy opinion that leads to complicity in things like Aleppo.
I think as the distractions get more blatantly cynical, the desire for people to walk away from that particular form of media is going to grow exponentially. I don't think that, I know for a fact that at least in the social media circles that I've been on, people are openly saying, I am so sick and tired of this. I cannot watch this anymore. So it's...
For me, I was like, oh, good! All right, we have arrived at that jumping off point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, actually. I'm sick of it. Great!
We might have forgot the waiters, but we're getting into the shit anyway.
Yeah, hella extra.
We're... Shows like this become necessary when you're when your access to information is being controlled by fucking monopolies. When the narrative says, if you don't agree with the narrative, you're insane, or you're a shill for the Koch brothers, or you're a shill for George Soros. The division, and why not both? Why can't you be both? Why can't you be a shill for both George Soros and the Koch brothers? Rachel Maddow gets to do it.
Is this where we go? We'd sell out in a second?
No.
No, I know.
No, but what we're
No.
what we are looking forward to is taking a page out of the Tim Black handbook and not having sellouts on the show.
Oh, yeah.
We are.
This is where we make a pact.
We're not gonna interview Joy Reid anytime soon. We're not gonna interview fucking Jeff Flake anytime soon. But we are going to have on Tim Canova, who is a third-party candidate in Florida's 23rd District, running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is arguably one of the most corrupt Congress critters that we have. It's her cabal down in Florida that is responsible for the ballot destruction that you talked about at the top of the show. We're really looking forward to having Tim on. I got to interview
Very
him
much so.
recently. And there's a lot that we couldn't cover in the hour that we had that I'm really stoked about getting to spend some more time with Tim, and I will hardly ever advocate or tell you where to put your money, but if you got $5 or $10 or $20 that you can throw Tim's campaign, please go ahead and do that. We're going to have on a content creator, YouTube personality, Jamarl Thomas. Jamarl's show is called The Progressive Soapbox. He's one of the most fair contributors that we have out there, in that when he has a bias, he tells you what the bias is.
He's like this. I like seeing it when he talked to you that day. Just like, I was like, whoa, man, that was just too much not words.
Jamarl puts out a fantastic show, and we're
man.
stoked to be able to welcome him in soon.
I'm excited.
We're going to have on Stephen Grumbine from the Real Progressives Network. They are the modern monetary theory advocates all across social media, and if I know most of them the way that I do, like in line for dinner or at the movies.
Hey man, you got Bruce Riley's assistant's
Do
number.
you have a moment to talk about modern monetary theory? Like,
I know he doesn't have an
like,
assistant, by the way.
They're like blue-haired Mormons in that regard. And they're like, do you have a moment? Could you? And that conversation is going to be fascinating. Steve has really become vivid in his delivery when he discusses the subject. So I'm really looking forward to that. Lee Camp.
Vivid
The
evisceration.
fabulous Lee Camp, host of Redacted Tonight.
Ah, you're like the teaspoon of sugar that helps the medicine go down.
Yeah. My good friend Jason Carney, who has an organization called Vets for the 99%.
I look forward to meeting him.
Will be on. So we're coming in hot. We're ready to fucking pop some minds.
I like what you said the other day, push your weight out the gate.
There's a whole aspect of...
I get to see you test your jokes on. But that's not a joke, clearly.
And with that in mind, I would like to kind of close out with what I like to call the black thought principles. I don't want us to have a debate show. I don't want to subject our audience to people just screaming at each other.
I'm too tired for that.
I want to focus on what we have that can unite us. What our commonality
me too.
is.
That is my whole intent.
Regardless of where we come from, there is one thing that we can do collectively together, and that is fight back against a
Get ourselves together, get our
untenable
democracy together, take it back.
And Black Thought says, I don't burn bridges, I leave the haters running for them. And I would like to not engage in a scorched earth policy, at least against the working class. Whoever they may be, wherever their political affiliations may lie, chances are it's because you invested in this narrative in some way, shape, or form. You may not be a war criminal, but you're assisting in committing war crimes for the health insurance. You have
And not through lazy opinions. I think some of these people are, the workers, dimly aware.
Yeah, I know a
acutely
guy
aware.
who's a client of mine in my day job, and he worked for Lockheed for a very long time.
My mom built pieces for Peacemakers,
And-
a subcontractor of Lockheed also.
And he was convinced as an employee of Lockheed that our drones were accurate. And when I mentioned that our drones have a 10% success rate, he shouted me down for the blasphemy.
That's because when they
I
do
was
their
committing on
piecework,
Yeah.
they parcel it out to the individuals so nobody ever has the whole truth. That's what I experienced with my mom, who was not into making fucking Peacemaker missiles, man. This was, my mom worked as an editor and everything girl at a newspaper for 25 years. Her heart's always been, in my opinion, in the right place, and she's into telling the truth.
We love you, Sarah's mom.
Mom, thanks, Mom. Social justice cloth.
And having said that, thank you for joining us for Slow News Day. I can't wait to get back to jump into the thing of things and start fucking slinging that truth.
Trading in ideas, what a thought.